Hello world, welcome back to CyberCrete. Today in this video we will be going to discuss all about MCP, what actually MCP is, how you can actually write your own MCP in Python, and then how you can basically connect it, and what are its some of the real world use case, why we actually need MCP. So all of these things are going to be discussed in this particular video. So let's just start by discussing what actually MCP is. MCP is nothing but modern context protocol, and it is the way by which LLMs can basically interact with our REST API. So we have, let's suppose there are different type of REST API written in our application, but our large language models don't actually have the access to that API endpoint. So in order to give them the access and also let them know what are the parameters that they require in order to make that particular API call and what is the response format going to be, to do these things in a standard format, because earlier it was not in standardized. People were just making the API calls however they like and then getting the response, putting the response back in a particular type of format and then getting the work done. But this MCP, which is Model Context Protocol, have standardized this all entire operations. So it will stand between your large language models and your REST API server. So you have the REST API server logic, and then here is the large language model. So in between that, there will be MCP, which will help communicate and interact with our REST API, and it will take care of everything. So that is what an MCP is, and where it can be used. Let's suppose you have written all the backend code. Then what you can do, you can just write an MCP with proper instructions that our large language models can easily use to interact and know what all parameters are required and which are necessary parameters, which can be optional. So this all things the large language models will be able to see. So in this particular video, we will start by creating a very simple MCP server using Python for simple addition and subtraction, and then we will build of simply getting the stock price data and can see how we can make use of that. So with that said, let's get into our VS Code and see how we can implement it. So this is the page of where it's showing of MCP. So it is basically the getting started protocol. So here are the languages in which it's available. Here is the Python SDK where we will be going to get this. So in order to start with that, you have to pip install MCP CLI. So either you can do with pip or you can actually use UV2, but I will be using pip install, and this is kind of simple demo that they already have provided you to see how the MCP is going to work. So what I will be doing, I will be simply creating a new file, and let's suppose I will name it mcp.py, but because why not mc, not mac, mcp.py. And here the first thing that we can do is simply copy this code. It is of one way, because firstly we are getting things ready. We have to write the code, set it up with a client like Claude 3.7 Sonnet, and then we can keep on making modifications so that we can actually test if the things that we are actually making are actually working or not. So that is the reason. Firstly, just go with this plain vanilla template. So I will be simply pasting this vanilla template here. Okay, there is something missing here, which I will explain it a bit. So let's try to understand the code a bit. So this is how we simply import MCP. So if you know about FastAPI or even Flask and have done some backend development, this is going to be very, very easy for you, because just like FastAPI, we are simply importing the FastMCP. FastAPI for building APIs, FastMCP for building MCP. Then we initialize our FastAPI app, if you know. And here is the name that you are going to say that will be appeared in our let's say Claude 3.7 Sonnet as a name. What actually is this MCP server supposed to do? So here, instead of demo, I can just do why not add me or something like this. So this will be a name that it will show. So here in FastAPI or in Flask, if you know, we write @app.get, app.put, app.post, or whatever that is a decorator. So here we are actually using this as a decorator. So mcp.tools is basically a decorator that we are using. Let me just zoom our code. This says that this is an MCP function which can be used by our large language models. So here, make sure to define what is the type of parameter that you are going to give. Let's suppose here we have said add a int b int, and we are returning a plus b, which is integer. So this will simply add two numbers that are integer. So even if in the large language models, it will try to add two numbers that are in decimal format, it will completely negate the decimal. It will just convert those values. It will send the value like 15.45, but it knows that here this function is going to take int, so it will slice that value out, and it will just send 15 in A, and B, if it is 17.73, it will just send 17. So this can be game changing, or the answer might not come accurate, and you might be wondering why it's not accurate after creating it. So that is the thing. So let's suppose in this add tool, if it is int, good, we will see this error happening once we come to it, and then we are simply returning a plus b. And this is another resource for greeting message where we can simply say hello, but we can kind of avoid this for now. Now let's see how we can actually initialize it. Have they mentioned it here? I think they haven't mentioned it here, but let me tell you how we can do that. So just like as we do in our fast API, we write if __ main app.run, something like that, to run the code. So that is the same thing that we have to do here. So I will simply start by writing if name __ main and mcp.run. But then it will be very, very similar to how our fast API work: app.run, app run, mcp.run, mcp run. But here's the thing, this works by std input and std output. So we have to say that you have to run in this std input and output mode. Then it will be able to interact with our client, that whatever you are going to run. So that is the thing that we have to mention inside mcp.run, because here that is what we'll be using. So we have to say transport. Okay, here it is auto completing, which is not correct, but I just auto corrected it anyway. So the transport, what we are using is stdio, standard input and output. If you know, you know. If you have learned bit of C++, this is how we std in and std out the output. So here, this, by doing just this, we have created a very, very simple MCP server, which is going to add. And actually, before doing that, one very important thing that I should not do is to just name it as MCP. MCP add, I can just write it MCP, because the code might get confused between this MCP and the MCP file that we are going to create. So the next thing is to basically download the Claude desktop. So it is available for Mac, Windows ARM, but not for Linux. Sometimes using Windows and Mac OS is better than using Linux. Just in this case, not other. So I already have downloaded it. So once you have downloaded it, what you can do, you can just open the Claude. And here you have Claude 3.7 on it. And also what you can do, you can either create a Conda environment, or you can simply use whatever environment that you have. And you have to know the actual path of the Python file where it is actually kept. So you have to also do pip install MCP, just pip install MCP also, not just pip install MCP CLI, but also pip install MCP. That is also going to work. Now let's go back to the documentation here, and in order to add this into your MCP server in the Claude desktop, here it's mentioned, you can simply write mcp install server.py, and it will simply add this clear. Okay, I think this is not installed, or I might have created a, okay, whatever. Oh, clear. I will do it in my way. So in order to add the MCP server, you have to go to the settings. In the settings, you have to go to the developer settings. You have to write on the edit config, and then you will get a config file which you can open up in any editor. I will be using cursor here. Simply write in this particular format. I think the Claude or the cursor code editor is already smart enough that is auto-filled it. But in your case, if you just don't know, I have to simply explain it to you. Here is the MCP servers, which means in your Claude desktop environment, you can add multiple MCP servers, you can write multiple codes, and this is just one, which is add me. So why add me? Add me because here we have given the MCP server name as add me, just remove the service dot or server.py because we are not using it. So this is the why we are using add me here. And then again, how this is the command by which we have to run our code, and this is the argument. So this is where the Python interpreter lives, but this is not actually the right path where the Python interpreter lives, because the right path is kind of this. In my case, because I have created an environment named my MCP. So there, okay, yeah, I think it's good. It is super smart than, it is more smart than I could ever think. AI is just getting out of hand. So I think this should work. It have already done all the work, but here is the argument, which is just the file path of your code where you have written the code, and here is the command which will be used to run the code. So here is the only thing that you might need to change, the command. If you are in Windows, you have to find the actual executable file that will help you to run the code. That you can simply copy this and paste it in your terminal to check if it is actually working or not. So here you can do this like something like this, like this, and run this. It should give no error. It should not actually run, but it should also not give any error, which means it is actually working. So now once it's done, we can save it, and then again we have to cross it and reopen it. This is just kind of bug, or don't actually remember. But now let's open the Claude. Hopefully it should not give any error. Okay, see here, we have added it in the settings. Why my god is opening the settings here? So here add me, and here it's actually running now. And here is the tool, add two numbers, something as simple as that. It does not depend on this. You can just CLEAR. So I have actually stopped that command, but it was actually working. This was just to test if it is actually working or not. Now I'll just put it down, and I will write some query like add this number, add 4 and something like this. So let's see if it is actually going to use any MCP server or not. So here you can see it's asking that if I should use this MCP server or not. I'll say allow for this chat. So it will pass 4 and this particular number, and here we got the result. So 23 plus 4 is 27. Yes, it's correct. But here the problem will come when I will say add 12.98 and 4.20. So now we see that what is the problem that is actually going to face, because we have defined int here and also the return type as an int. So what it is going to actually pass is also in that particular same format. Hey. See, I notice you are trying to add decimal, but the add function, I have access to only everything. I can still do the calculation manually because it has some brain. So that is the reason why when writing the code, you have to specify the data type, and the data type should be flexible enough to handle this type of cases. So now let's try to add another function, that is to get the stock prices. Just to let you know how easy it's to simply write, we can simply write MCP dot tool def get stock price symbol from Yahoo Finance, Y Finance, okay. And here we can provide the ticker symbol and get the current price. So it is as simple as writing your backend logic. It is as simple as that. And again, the Y Finance is not actually installed. Then we have to write. If I write by comment, then pip install Y Finance will simply comment. I can simply copy and paste this in terminal. This is kind of quick, easy, and dirty way to save some seconds of my life. So like this, you can simply keep on adding whatever functionality you want to build for your MCP server. You can write the code for getting the data from the database. You can define n to get like nth largest, fifth largest, or whatever that can be to your code. You can even in the Claude desktop, you see I think currently they don't have any tool to fetch the data from the internet. So how about simply adding it? So first let's try. So as soon as we added it, the code is already running. So in Claude, if you go to the settings, you can see that in the developer adme, it's still running. That is why it will not be able to see the new code that we have written. Inside the tool, it's just add. So again, you have to quit it, open it, and then it will be actually be able to get the stock price or have that particular function. Now let's go to the Claude. Okay, here you can see get stock price. It took a bit of time because it actually run the code and then it actually connects and build STD IO connection. So get me the price of apple. I think it should be smart enough not to give me the price of apple that we eat, but the apple that we use. Let's go. Because I've just asked the price, not even the stock price. Okay, it's a smart enough actually. So allow for this chat. It knows the stock symbol for that. That is what the LLM used inside its own memory. So it is as simple as that. Let's ask it who is US new president. Of course, my English is super good, super beautiful. It have the latest information. What is more latest question that I can actually ask? What is the current IPL team? It's the current IPL match going on, something like this. So you can see that it don't have the information or it is not directly connected to the internet. So we can also write a function to connect it to internet. We can use actually DuckDuckGo for that. So I can simply write the command connect to internet using DuckDuckGo for performing web search. And here we can simply write the import and its code is kind of done. DDG. So again, here we have simply written our own code to make it connect with the internet, which was not actually the functionality that was actually present in here. So I will just exit it. I think there is error. I have to pip install this too. So pip install DuckDuck search Python might be the thing that we have to pip install. So this is a way how you can actually use cursor to write MCP server. You are learning both how to write the code in MCP as well as how to simply use cursor to speed up your development. I think this is not the thing. DuckDuckGo Python. Again, the web search is still important. Don't always depend on this. LangChain or direct. Let's go direct. Let's do this pip install, and how to actually use it might also be different. DuckDuck search as dsg.text completed. Why it's still red? Unable to import. Okay, I think it is able to import now. I have to change ddd.text.query. Now everything seems clear. Now we have implemented the search functionality. It's not actually the right way to implement the search functionality, but I was just trying to show you how we can keep on adding the additional things to your MCP server. So I have to again quit this, again restart the Claude desktop, and now we will try to ask the same question of IPL. Maybe we can simply ask use web search to tell ongoing IPL match. And let's see, search the web query, which is string, and it should return the string. We should allow for this chat, allow for this chat. This is the query that's going, current ongoing IPL match. So it have received the information. MS Dhoni wants the toss and lost and choose the ball first, Falan Imkana. So of course, this is how you can simply keep on adding additional details to your MCP server, and this is how easy it's to actually write one. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and also there is A2A coming. P2P, A2A, which is A2A is agent to agent, that is developed by Google. If you are interested in knowing how to build that, you can just write in the comment below and I will create a video on that. And if you really learned something, please write a comment also.